guitar-loving peeps everywhere. It's Steve, the Guitar Nut, here to say Happy Labor Day to you if you're from here in the good old US of A. And if you're not, hello to you also. Hopefully, if you are here in the USA, you have the day off, unironically, not laboring on Labor Day. If you got to work, it happens. I'll have to work tonight, but it's all good. Let's see, what do we want to talk about? Oh, hit a couple of milestones. I hadn't realized it. It's actually been a month ago now, but I hit the, I should say, hit the 1,000 hours viewed milestone, which we've long since passed, of course, but that's something. We are 38 subscribers away from 300, which is kind of cool in itself, I think. I think I lost a couple of subscribers over the last week because of the last 2 videos I posted, which brings me to another point, another big milestone. I had my first serious trash talking in the last week from some viewers. Still happy that they viewed, but some people definitely did not approve of the Gibson situation. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but I just thought it was kind of fun. I've made it, I've been crap talked. So that's kind of cool. Let me think. We usually start off talking about any guitar news, and there's not a whole lot notable that I've noticed at the moment, apart from the fact that the custom peach salmon pink Rickenbacker double neck 620 that I had mentioned an episode or 2 ago actually did sell for in excess of $10,000, and I'll show you a picture of that here. I thought that was kind of funny. Also kind of funny, it's been well established that I'm a huge fan of my Greco 12-string 360 double bound copy, and I love it. And it's one of my searches on eBay and Reverb.com. Just not that I need another one, but I'm just curious to see what they do in the market. And a beautiful black one showed up. I guess you'd call it black since it's not a real Rickenbacker. You wouldn't call it jet glow, right? But a beautiful black one showed up. And of course, anytime you're dealing with a Japanese seller, you're going to see multiple listings at different prices because they actually have people over there whose job is to be brokers. And they'll get your money and then go buy the guitar and then sell it to you. But it's averaging somewhere in around the $1,500 range for this thing. But the funny thing is, it is a 12-string Rickenbacker copy with a Bigsby Vibrola. Now, if you've ever restrung a Bigsby, you know that it's a complete and utter pain in the ass. And the very thought of there being a guitar somewhere with 12 strings attached to a Bigsby is enough to keep me up at night. It's an absolute nightmare. It looks cool. I'll show you a picture right here. But I can't even fathom, and not even to mention the fact that you will never get this thing into tune or keep it into tune. This falls into the what were they thinking category. It's just, wow. That's all I gotta say. Wow. But it looks mighty cool. So back to the last couple of episodes, the Gibson episodes. Gotten a lot of comments, which is great because that's what I want, more content. I want to give you more content, you give me more content to work with. It hasn't all been positive. In fact, got the lowest likes to dislikes ratio ever on this show for the Gibson semi-deep dive review episode. 87.5% likes, which means not a lot of people disliked, but it says something, I had someone accuse it of the guitar of being a man cave wall hanger, air quotes, which I couldn't disagree more with. It's anything but. I've already used it for a demo recording session and for a solo. It performed beautifully. you know, I did do something. I bought a new truss rod cover, as I said I would, but I haven't installed it yet. But I did buy a new bridge. This beautiful Wilkinson intonable bridge. I think it makes the guitar look a whole lot better, and it absolutely improves, well, honestly, both the sustain and, of course, the tuning. I set it up to get the intonation as spot on as humanly possible, and it's great. And it really, really makes the guitar look better, which, you know, that matters. Obviously, that matters to us. Let's see what else. Oh, I ordered new knobs, and they were supposed to be gold, you know, vintage looking, and they showed up, and they were exactly the same kind of slightly cream colored looking ones that are already on it. So that disappointed me. So I think I'm either going to just throw on some various 60s style top hat knobs or something that I've got a bunch of, or I also ordered a set of glow in the dark green speed knobs that I might throw on there just to be contrary. I don't know. And eventually I'll get some real vintage style ones. I'll probably get a better looking poker chip for the switch as well. But for now it looks so much better with that cheap bridge missing. Speaking of cheap, someone will probably say, "Oh, great! Now you're throwing big money at that cheap guitar." And that Wilkinson bridge was $12, I think, literally. So, no big money here. I think the truss rod cover was $2.95. So, yeah, no big expense there. Definitely got a lot of responses from both these last two videos. Mostly, as I said, mostly favorable. I had no less than 11 people contact me to get Ming's contact information because they're interested in looking into a Gibson of their own, so that tells me something. The few people that called me everything but you know, a nice person, you know, whatever. It's the internet. You're going to have your trolls. I'll tell you a little more about another troll later, which I had some fun with. But let's see what else. Oh, one of the discussions that was had, and I love the fact that we're now having discussions between viewers, not just from the viewers to me, but between each other, which is kind of cool, is that someone had made forgive me for not having my homework done and knowing who all these people were, but, you know, it's me. Although I have graduated to the sophistication of having a list of things to talk about, so I'm really moving up in the world. Anyway, someone had mentioned that they heard a rumor that the Chinese had some kind of a stash of Brazilian rosewood at their disposal because, you know, they have very little regulation there, and there's a whole lot of things that go on there that wouldn't fly in the U.S. certainly, or Europe or anywhere else. There was kind of a spirited discussion about whether that was ridiculous, you know, who could believe that, or, you know, could be possible, who knows. I do believe that they have a fair amount of African mahogany on hand over there because it's very prized in furniture making there. And again, since they don't have a whole lot of regulation to deal with, I could believe that. So, oh, and speaking of Brazilian rosewood, I made a comment myself, and I'll make it to you as well, because at some point in the future, I think this will happen, and I want you to remember that you heard it here first. I'm surprised that builders, maybe not big builders, but at least small builders, haven't yet thought to go buy up a bunch of cheap, crappy 50s and 60s electric and acoustic guitars, you know, even broken ones, whatever, so that they can reclaim those often Brazilian rosewood fingerboards and reuse them. I will not be surprised if in the future, in our lifetimes, we see that happen. We start hearing about, we're already hearing about reclaimed timbers for bodies and things, but I think reclaimed Brazilian rosewood fingerboards are going to wind up being a thing. And like I said, you heard it here first. What else was talked about with the Gibson thing? I was told that this is a cheap piece of garbage that will no doubt fall apart in time. Well, it's a one-piece mahogany body. It's a one-piece mahogany neck. I don't know what they're glued together with. but it looks darn solid to me. I don't see what there is to fall apart. It appears to be built exactly the same way any other guitar is, and I'm told, and who knows if this is true, but a lot of this stuff is coming out of the same factory that makes Epiphones, out of the back door, so to speak. But if that's true, I don't see Epiphones falling apart just because they were made in China. I have no reason to believe this is going to just fall apart on me either. So, whatever. People can say what they like, and if anything, it's nice to have a little bit of spirited dissent, in the comment feed. Let's see. I have some ins and outs in the last week. It's actually been quite a productive week. I do a fair amount of what you'd call flipping, buy, sell, trade. Somewhat, some of the time on Craigslist, but mostly on Facebook Marketplace. And in the last week since you last saw me, to be redundant, 6 guitars went out and 4 came in. And I came out $500 ahead. And so I figure you probably would be interested in hearing about what I got, right? So I'll just tell you. I sold, well, first let me tell you what I sold. I sold a double bound Tele Custom Squier Classic Vibe, an older Classic Vibe Stratocaster with a maple neck, a Michelangelo Badio sawtooth super Telecaster thing with completely separate humbucker and single coil circuits, which I bought to review on the show and somehow never got around to it. I sold the Goth Explorer that I showed you guys a while back that I bought at the hoarder sale. An Epiphone Wilshire that I bought because I loved the way it looked and then could never bond with. And finally, a new, it's 2 years old, but bought new from Sweetwater, Kramer Beretta Special. And let me talk about that for a second if I could before I show you the things I got. In my personal opinion, and I feel like I'm qualified to have one, having played for 37 years and owned 500 plus guitars, I think that the Kramer Beretta Special at $179 to $199, depending on where you buy them, is literally the best buy in electric guitars available anywhere right now. The one I got came right out of the box with no sharp fret edges. It played great. I didn't even have to adjust the action. Now granted, it came from Sweetwater, but Sweetwater doesn't do setup and adjustments on guitars that expensive. They only do it on things I think $500 and above. Regardless, it's a fabulous guitar, and I would and do recommend it to anybody. When people ask me all the time, what should I get for a first guitar, for a kid or for themselves, or for a backup, for what? I use mine for lots of gigs with my cover band Raygun. And why did I get rid of it? Well, because I found another one in a pawn shop that I liked even better. This is a couple months back, but I'll just show you since it happens to be here. This is their supposedly red model, but it's clearly very pink. I found this one in a pawn shop locally, back just a mile up the street. It was $99 because, as the pawnbroker told me, some idiot ruined it by stripping all the finish off the back of the neck. And I said, oh yeah, that was quite an idiot. I'll take it, thank you. I think he actually wound up giving it to me for $80. That strip neck feels fantastic. I absolutely love this stupid little cheap guitar. And I would have kept the black one, but the other one was black. I would have kept it if not for the fact that I had this and can't really justify having two. But this thing, I have guitars that literally cost 10 times more than, 20 times more than what I paid for this one. 10 times more than a new one. That this gets more play than. This is a great guitar. So if you're out there thinking you want to buy yourself something cheap, just, for fun, whatever, you'd be shocked. The necks are great. They have jumbo frets. The pickups don't even sound bad. I mean, I can't say enough about. this isn't sponsored, but if Kramer wants to sponsor me, I wouldn't mind having some of their other products. If this is what they do for a cheap guitar, I can only imagine what something like the '84 model must be like. You know, at $7.99 or whatever it is. Great guitar. And I had mentioned I was going to talk more about the Kramer. It wasn't just that I wanted to tell you about that. So I want to tell you about a very spirited debate that I had this morning with somebody on Facebook. Someone on one of the guitar groups I belong to asked, what would be a good first guitar for someone who's into country and blues, has a $500 budget, and is currently an acoustic guitar player? A bunch of people listed, all the things you'd expect, Epiphone 335s and all sorts of different things. And I said, I'd pick up a $179 Kramer Beretta Special and have enough money left over for a decent amp. It's certainly decent enough for a beginner. It's $300. You can do a lot with it. You can buy a Spark and have every sound under the sun available, And no sooner than I had posted my comment, some gentleman jumped on and read me the riot act about how I'm an idiot. And how could I possibly be stupid enough to suggest to a country and blues player that they get some neon, flashy, heavy metal Kramer to play their music on? And I answered back tactfully, yes, black, white, and blue, which are also colors available for this, are definitely super flashy and neon. Also, he took me to task on the fact that how could you have a one humbucker guitar and tell somebody they're going to play country and blues on it? I got news for you. A good guitar player can get anything out of any guitar within reason that he or she or they desire. It can be done. In fact, I intend later today to film a video, just a short, showing me playing country and blues on my pink Kramer. I wish I still had the black one here just so that I could make my point that they're not all flashy, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to show this guy that you can indeed play country and blues. You know what you can do? Roll back the volume just a little bit and it cleans up beautifully. You get a nice overdriven amp. So we went back and forth a little bit, and I finally just, realized I was wasting my time for no good reason. Just an internet troll. But it was fun. It was a fun little spirited debate. Every now and then, I'll get into something like that. Okay, so I've kept you waiting long enough. What did I get this week? You know what went out? Well, what came in, this is about a 10-year-old Harmony, I believe. Oh, it's a Rocket, but I think it was H174. I don't remember which model, but it's a 2 pickup Rocket. It's got the the gold foil mustache, as they call them, pickups. Sounds absolutely fantastic. Plays great. Very loud acoustically. Just love it. It's just fun. So this is one of the things I scored. Will it stay around? Probably not forever, but for a while I'm going to have a darn good time with it, and a very fun guitar. That one I bought for a pretty ridiculous price. I traded one of my guitars for something I found really interesting. This is a Guild, I believe the model S280. I could be wrong on that. It's one of the S series. It's from, I believe, well, you can't really tell from the serial numbers, I believe about 1984. It has an original Kahler trem system. I hate what people call them trems. Vibrato system. It works flawlessly. I hate Floyd Roses. Love Kahlers. This is only the second one I've ever owned. The last was back in the 80s, but this thing is great. The pickups have been changed. This is a Rockfield pickup out of a fairly modern BC Rich. This is a vintage DiMarzio Super Distortion. these pickups are like a couple $100 by themselves, you know, on Reverb. And I also got the matching vintage lead DiMarzio Super Distortion, except it doesn't work. Apparently it has an open lead. Someone could still rewind it, so I'm not going to throw it out or anything. Someone might want it if, I might wind up selling it to somebody or trading it for something. Who knows? But anyway, this guitar, it was filthy, and I do mean filthy. And I tore it completely down, and first I washed it with literally soap and water, and then went over it with Clorox disinfecting wipe, and got it cleaned up pretty well. It is what I like to call beat but sweet. It's naturally relic. It's been played. The fingerboard edges are rolled in a way that only comes from just playing the ever-loving crap out of the guitar. And this one was played. Strangely enough, the frets are still usable, and they're super jumbo. It feels amazing, plays amazing. The only bad thing I can say about it is that it absolutely reeked. Doesn't anymore, thank goodness. It absolutely reeked of marijuana so badly that the cheap gig bag I brought with me to pick it up in, I threw out. Because after I got home, I couldn't get the smell of weed out of this case. It was unbelievable. I've never encountered that before. I've had cases that had cigarette smoke smell in them and things, but I've never encountered a guitar that after I got finished playing it, testing it out, my hand smelled like marijuana. It smelled like I was handling a skunk. Kind of hilarious. And in case you're curious, marijuana isn't legal in Tennessee yet. It's decriminalized, meaning they won't arrest you for having some on it for your own personal use or whatever, but it's not like it's just, you don't walk around the street smoking it, or you probably shouldn't. But anyway, Guild, made in USA. I traded the Epiphone Wilshire reissue for this, and I couldn't be happier with the trade. We were both really happy, so that's a cool thing. So that's a neat guitar. Next up, a brand that I never gave really a second thought to is Schecter. In my mind, Schecter is heavy metal guitars made for teenagers, and well-heeled teenagers in some cases, because Schecter does make some pretty high-end things, but there's always what I think of when I hear Schecter. Now, I did own a Schecter Hellcat 6, which was their version of the Fender Bass 6. I had one of those about, I guess it's been 20 years ago now, and it was great. Actually, I wound up owning two of them, and I wound up selling those at some point in time. Now I just have a Fender or Squier Bass 6 for when I feel like getting my cure on or playing some tic-tac bass. But regardless, you remember the Epiphone Goth Explorer that I had picked up at the Hoarder's sale. I listed that on Facebook Marketplace, didn't put a price, just said I was looking for interesting trades. And in 1 week's time, I was offered 29 different guitars and 16 different amps for this thing. Most of it was, a lot of low-endy stuff. There's a surprising number of 7-strings I was offered. I have enough trouble finding my way around on 6 strings. I don't need a 7. I was offered several Schecters that were cheap Schecters, C series or whatever, CR or C6, whatever it is, the cheap series that sell new for $300. I was offered a lot of junk. I was offered several actually nice guitars, but just things I wasn't into. I wasn't really looking to buy something that I was going to resell, flip, as it were. I was looking for something that I actually wanted, at least for a while. But this one kid got a hold of me, and he just kept upping his offers. He said, I will give you, well, I won't tell you the amount of money, but he offered me as much in cash as I paid for the Goth Explorer, plus an as-new Schecter CR6 guitar in one of the Fender Moto gig bag, deluxe gig bags. And I looked them up, watched a few YouTube videos, and was like, oh, it actually seems like a rather nice guitar. It's not my style. Thankfully, it doesn't have a Floyd. It's a hardtail. But that's what it was. it is. Here's the case. This is probably the nicest non-hard shell type case. You can stand on this and not harm the guitar. Not that I recommend it, but I mean, it feels like it'd be safe. So this is like a $100 bag in and of itself. So I got the full amount that I paid for the guitar, plus this nice bag, plus this unbelievably gorgeous looking Schecter guitar. Never seen anything like this exactly. It's this burl finish that even has a matching headstock, crafted in Indonesia. Jumbo frets, super slim neck, like in the Epiphone territory. I got Epiphone in the brain today. The Ibanez wizard neck territory. I mean, really thin. Plays phenomenally. I believe, yeah, I think that's an ebony fingerboard. It plays, we'll put it this way, this is a better guitar than I have a business owning as a player. This is for somebody that can absolutely shred. You know, I've had my playing style described as a developmentally challenged Eric Clapton, which I took as a compliment and a badge of honor. But this thing, wow, I had no idea that Schecter was this kind of quality. I looked it up. This thing sold for $7.99 new. So I got this beautiful Schecter guitar in this gorgeous gig bag and all the money back that I paid for the Explorer. And he got the Goth Explorer that it's the guitar of his dreams. He's already got plans to put in Fishman Fluence humbucking pickups and route it out for a Floyd Rose, and it's going to be his life guitar, his lifetime guitar, he said. And more power to him. I'm thrilled. I'll hang on to this for a while, and probably eventually I'll wind up flipping it, of course, because it's not my speed, but man, it's gorgeous. I'm going to come out way, way ahead on this deal, but the kid was thrilled. So I'm thrilled, he's thrilled. In my mind, the perfect deal isn't one where you just walk in and take advantage of somebody's ignorance or something. It's when everybody is happy when you leave. This kid, I even told him, you're kind of giving me a lot for this. He said, I don't care. I can't find a Goth Explorer. You got one. I want it. So everybody was happy. That's my favorite kind of deal. Everyone walks away happy. So I went from being a Schecter novice to a Schecter fan, and ironically, this just blows my mind. I wound up getting not one, but two Schecter guitars the same day. The one I just showed you, the CR6, and a guitar that I am so fond of that I think it's going to become part of my permanent collection for stage use. It is this. This Schecter TSH-1. This guitar is so me. In the first place, my love of green is well established. That's just a given. But licensed Bigsby. Two, what I'm told are basically mini humbucker pickups, splittable to single coil, that look for all the world like vintage DeArmond pickups, which is just the coolest look. Volume and tone for each, a great neck, very clean, and I adore this guitar. And I picked this up for a price that is just, if I told you, you'd hate me. It's a guy who contacted me about I actually had contacted him about a swap, and he let me know he wasn't interested in swaps. He needed cash now because his water was being shut off or something. And I'm not trying to take advantage of somebody, but somebody was going to buy it, right? So I went over and got it, and this also was quite filthy. I cleaned it up and, adjusted the truss rod. The action was quite high. Scrubbed the frets with Scotch-Brite pad, lemon oiled the fingerboard, and now it plays fantastic. Sounds great. So in one day, I went from knowing practically nothing about Schecter and having apparently somewhat the wrong idea about them to being a fan, because this is a guitar to keep. This is great. Just love it. Do yourself a favor if you come across one of those. They're also available with a trapeze tailpiece, and different pickups, I believe. But it's lightweight. It's just a great guitar. So those are the ins and outs. As I said, it's been a productive week. I don't normally. I'll go 6 months or more without buying anything. I'll just sell some things, and this just happened to be a stellar week. In fact, weekend. It all seemed to happen over the last 3 days for the most part. So that's that. Something else I wanted to talk about is I've been asking people for suggestions for future episodes, because I want to give you what you want, right? And keep things interesting and have as much content as possible. And I came up with a couple of what I think are really good ideas with the help of some viewers. One was somebody asked me if I would do a review of my Jangle Box compressor, because that's supposedly the holy grail compressor thing for Rickenbacker players, especially 12-string players, of course. And I think that's a great idea, but I'll do one better. I'll talk about my Jangle Box, but I'll also tell you how you can get 80% of the sound and functionality of a Jangle Box for less than $100. If you don't need the treble boost, considerably less than $100. And you'll be surprised how. I tried doing something similar to this once before, back when it was still Rickenbacker Anonymous, and posted a pedal that would allow you to turn any amp into a Vox simulation. And boy, did I get some hate back then from people. Well, you could just buy a cheap Vox. Sure, you can, but in my experience, the cheap Voxes don't sound like Voxes. They sound like cheap practice amps. This pedal sounded like a Vox. So it did get a lot of views. So hopefully this Jangle Box episode and whatnot, I'll have to come up with a catchy clickbait title for it, will do well as well. So that's one. I thought about doing an episode where I talk about my favorite YouTube channels, because I'm an avid YouTube viewer myself. That's what got me into the idea of doing this, in the old days, we would always try to turn other people on to new music. And that was our way of sharing, what we were into. Well, in modern day, I guess the equivalent would be sharing your favorite YouTube channels. So that's something I thought about, was talking about the YouTube channels that I watch regularly and subscribe to, and tell about them and why I like them. And I thought that might be interesting. I don't know, maybe just as a short episode, but let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about all these things, of course. One that I do think would definitely go over well. I've got a friend who, I won't name him, but let's just say he works for a very prominent guitar magazine here in Nashville. And he knows that I have a bit of a penchant for writing. And he asked me, I asked him how I go about getting into the article writing gig, And he told me to try writing something and send it in to him, and he would present it at their monthly pitch meeting and see. And he said that they didn't bite, but he thought it was very interesting. And I thought, well, you know what? Why don't I use the meat and potatoes of that particular article to just do an episode here? And it's what I'm going to call the $50 Guitar Challenge. It's where I challenge you to spark your creativity. Whether you're a songwriter or just a guitar player, we all get to a point where things get stale and you feel like you're not getting anywhere. You're playing the same licks, same chord progressions. You need something to fire that creativity. And my challenge to you in this upcoming episode is going to be to go out, pick up a cheap guitar, electric of some sort for $50. It could be more if you feel like it, but $50 is a good round number. At least in Nashville, you can pick up $50 Strat copies and low-end Squier Strats all day long for $50 here and there if you're willing to look. But anyway, I want to show you at least 5 different things you can do with an inexpensive guitar, and it could be with any guitar, but inexpensive for our purposes, to fire your creativity and possibly give you a whole new, give your writing a new lease on life or whatever it is. You might be surprised. And it, if nothing else, it gives you an excuse to go out and hunt for some cheap guitars, which can be fun. I'll be sharing with you in the next episode the guitar hunt that I made just this morning, which yielded some pretty funny dividends. But I'm going to make you wait for that one. So those are 3 ideas right off the top of my head. Certainly, if you have any more ideas for content of any kind, episodes, shorts, something you want to see reviewed, I don't know that I can make it happen, but I can sure as heck try. Let me know. Either leave a comment, email me at rickenbackeranonymous@gmail.com. It's also a place you can leave a tip if you're so inclined, because, this thing doesn't pay anything, and it's actually a bit expensive at times, but, I'm enjoying it. I'm not doing a lot of spending I wouldn't have done otherwise, but I'm definitely doing some. Like this Zoom Q2N camera that I bought specifically to use for this show, and really wish I could send back, but they won't take it back. Not happy with the video quality at all. They claim this was the video camera for YouTubers and for live giggers. I'll hang on to it to see how it works for live gigs. Supposedly it has really good sound and high sound pressure level, applications. I guess we'll see. But the picture, yeah. 4K. The episode of this show that I filmed that wound up not having any audio and I had to refilm with my phone, I tried to watch some of, and it looked to me pretty much like it was recorded on a VHS tape. So, yeah, I do spend a bit of money on the show, sometimes, in vain. But anyhow, I'm not going to beg you for money. If you feel like throwing something my way, do. If you have any ideas for shows, things you want to see, let me know. Get a hold of me. If you have any more comments, likes, dislikes, more hate mail, tell me what a douche I am for owning a Gibson guitar, be my guest. I have thick skin. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And that's pretty much all I have to talk about. I think I've taken up enough of your time. As I said, hopefully you're having a good Labor Day, if indeed you wind up watching this today on Monday, the 5th? Yes, 5th. And if you watch it later, it's still valid. I hope you're having a good day then too. Even if it's far in the future, hope you're having a great future. So until next time, I haven't decided which of these episode ideas I'm going to run with next, but I think all 3 of them that I mentioned are viable. Let me know your opinion. And I should see you in maybe another week. I'm going to try to, I know I've said it before, I'm going to try to get episodes out more frequently. And, for better or for worse, things have slowed down at my job. So hopefully I can make the most of that unfortunate truth by getting more content out to you. So, thank you to our little community here. We're, as I said, 38 subscribers away from 300, which I think will be a really cool thing. Maybe when we hit 300, I'll give something away. I've got something in mind, but it's something I would mention in a future episode that I've already talked about. So, until you see me next, rock on, chime on, be good to people, be good to yourself, because this life's the only one we've got, right? So, till I see you next, stay frosty.